Hello everyone, this is Plankera, and welcome to my universe. Today, I'm going to continue rigging Shalom from Path to Nowhere. Yesterday, I did a bunch of stuff around her eyes, and I think they're looking much better than they were before. Just got a couple of things that I want to fix. Mostly, I feel like the eyelid is a little bit too high in a couple of places, so I figure that I'll bring that back down just a little bit. And then maybe I'll visit the corner of this eye, still weirding me out a little bit. But I do think I will be going back to hair today. So the eyebrows are moving kind of weird, aren't they? Let's see. What is making them look a little bit weird? Am I sending this down? I am. Okay. Mystery solved. Sometimes it really is just that easy. Oh, it's because I bring it down here too, huh? Also by 3. Okay. Mystery not solved. Do I deform the eyebrow on this angle? Let's find it again. Eyebrow. I do not. Okay, well, I'm gonna cheese it a little bit since I just feel like it's slightly too low. I'll just raise it up slightly. And just as a slight touch, I'm gonna do that too. Maybe one more. That might also help. Just due to the nature of how eyebrows move on the head. Gotta do it over here too. It's one of those things that's just kind of weird. But how should I describe it? Just due to the nature of how your brow bone juts out from your eye socket there, sometimes it can give the appearance that of something like this, where the eyebrow sticks out just a little bit more than it feels like it actually should. Depending on the angle, so I guess I'll apply that elsewhere too. Let me make sure it's all there. It actually should just kind of populate on its own. This is... You know when I talk about the interpolation trying to help me out sometimes by adding these random values in there, and it utterly failing? This is what it's trying to do. This is where it's trying to help. It just notices that, hey, I see that you moved this eyebrow over. Let me go put it somewhere else too. See, like it auto-populated here. And sometimes it's helpful, sometimes it's not. But it does its best. And what does it feel like it's going up from here to here? That is so weird. Because 3, I mean, this one's even higher. Is that just me being dyslexic and saying higher when I meant lower? Okay. Yeah, that seems fine. Okay, cool. I'll take it. Eyebrows looking good, I think. Alright, let me fix that eyelid at the bottom that I wanted to fix just a little bit. And then I think things will be good. I didn't accidentally add any rotation there, did I? I hope not. Okay, I didn't. I just noticed that while I was going in to adjust here, I accidentally clicked on this, which is what lets you rotate things. But I never actually use these little handles for that purpose, so they just kind of get in the way for me. You know, one of these days I should actually check to see if I can hide them, since I do not actually like to use them right there. I prefer just adjusting my numbers up here. Okay. So now that I've got all that lined up a little bit better, yeah, I think her eyes are doing a lot better. Kind of let her wiggle, and I'm not getting weirded out by a bunch of eye stuff. So let me see if I can just fix this one last corner. Because I admit, before yesterday, every time her head moved up to this upper right corner especially, I just cringed. I cringed on the inside. But I wanted to get some more hair done, hoping that it would help me figure out what was wrong with the eye. And well, it all worked out. I just decided that it was time. I can kind of see why I didn't want to rotate it that much before. Okay, that seems alright. Yeah, that seems pretty good. Alright, let's copy this amount of rotation over. Just bring it on over here. And then I want to make sure that all my other values are the same. 2817. Huh. Oh, right, because wrong eye. 2817, 37. Okay, perfect. Let's move her head across just to make sure that I still like it. Seems pretty alright. Alright, back to hair. So remember when I left off, I was working on the tips of her bangs. And really getting those good. And I do think that they are getting quite good. I noticed after walking away from this for a couple of days that I kind of wanted to adjust this shadow here. I just wanted it to curve over just a little bit more. Yeah, I think that makes it look a little bit more three-dimensional. A little bit more even. Yeah, I wanted something like that. Or just a little bit more curved. Makes it look like we see a little bit more of this area and a little bit less of this area. And let this leftmost side just kind of recede into the background. Well, maybe not so much the background in this case, but Same idea. Hello there, Kitty. I'm doing pretty well today. Yesterday I fixed up a bunch of stuff in the eyes, and that just makes me happy. Have you gotten to do anything fun in the past week? Well, that's alright. Sometimes just going through your daily life and doing things day to day can be nice too. Alright, I think it's time to move back into the corners here. And the corners certainly need some work. So, here we go. Okay. So first I want to start with that little bit that I changed just now. Get this line right down here. Moved over so it's a little bit rounder and makes it look a little bit more like she's turning left, at least to me. Yeah, there we go. That's pretty good. Just need to clean up little parts of it. Fortunately, it's a pretty easy little change here. Some amount of precision, but it's not that bad. There's always these little guys down here. The tip that splits into these very thin little areas there. Always, that area is just always a little bit hard. Probably the hardest part of the front bang tips, in my opinion. Alright, let's do the bottom too. Hair is like that sometimes, isn't it? Mine, I guess it's kind of similar, but my hair is just so freaking long that it's kind of heavy, so it's pretty good at staying out of my way. It just wants to fall down. So that probably helps to an extent. Let's see here. I might need to hide her eye so I can see a little bit better, because I see her eye is peeking right through between the bangs, and I think it's throwing me off a little bit. So let's hide that while I get everything sorted out here. This one's out of the front bang, so I don't have to worry about it as much, and it will act as a nice little anchor while I worry about the rest. So now I'm just trying to sort out the angles on some of these gaps between each strand, where all the gaps and the little holes will be once all this is done. Yeah. You can see here that right here is really thin. It just kind of goes up through there. But when I come up here, it gets a little thicker in some places, and it's not quite lining up the way that I want it to yet. It's getting there, though. Just needs to be poked at a little bit more here. And while I'm at it, there's these tiny little shadows coming up through here, so I'm also trying to line them up as well. They are controlled by the same vertex, so it makes sense to do them together. And then I can figure what over here is just something about right there. Looks like it's moving weird. Kind of try to figure out why. I do think it is mostly these lines over here, though, so that's why I'm doing them first. See if that'll sort out all my problems for me. Okay, yeah, there we go. That's looking a lot better. I can just figure out what's going on at the very top here. Okay, actually, maybe I should try consulting the mesh, even though trying to consult the mesh for this area is always a bit of an adventure. I made the mesh a little bit too dense here. Okay. But no, I actually got some pretty good information from that. Turns out that a lot of what I'm seeing is actually stuff from over on that side. And I think having them be slightly different is probably okay. There's going to be a bit of physics, and yeah, I think I've reached the level of detail where maybe I notice a thing or two, but I don't think anybody else will. So I think that's fine. I think it's good there now. Alright, let's look at some other spots. Yeah, let's check the bottom here, so this way I can have her head just go up and down and be totally happy with that. I like being able to just go all the way up and all the way down. Makes it easier to spot problems, and is also very satisfying. Showing the full range of that movement there. Alright, there we go. I think I have that spot looking pretty good all the way up and down now. Now I just have to do it for, well, I guess 2 more angles since I've already gotten these 4 looking good. I was gonna say, I thought there was a lot still, but I guess there really isn't. Nice. Always nice when that works out. So now I'm gonna go check over here one more time just to make sure that all of this is the way that I want it to be. Yeah, looks like I still got a couple of spots I want to fix over at the top there. So I think I'll do up there before I start worrying about over here. I just got distracted right there because, I don't know, I saw something. It doesn't really matter what order I do things in. I just go through and do it. I had a fun discussion with my husband this morning, and I think some people forget, you know, all these people that are out there making stuff, whether they be game developers, artists, writers, you know, any media you consume. Anything at all. The people behind them, they're just people. There's nothing necessarily special about them or anything. In the end, we're not really all that different. And I think it can be easy to think that these people that are able to make amazing things are somehow special. And that it's not something that normal people can do. Or that there's some secret that they have that lets them do things that normal people can't. But it's not really true. They're all just guys. They're all just people. Every single one of them. They just decided to go out and do something. They just made the thing that they wanted to make, and they made it happen. And I can almost guarantee that it probably wasn't very easy. So in the end, I do think that it's something that almost everyone can do. And I also think it's important to remember that the first thing that you do, whether it, be drawing, rigging, or writing a book, trying to make a movie, or any of these things, your first one probably won't be very good. Because there's a lot to learn for any of these things. And it takes time to absorb all that information. And not just time, but also trials. You gotta try things. Find what works and find what doesn't. A couple of days ago, I was extremely tired when streaming, and I wasn't able to do a lot of the things that I wanted to do that day. And just because I had shoved so much information into my brain about a bunch of other things, and needed some time to process it all. And because of that, my brain was just so fried. But I decided that I still wanted to come in and do my thing, see what I could do for that day, and so I decided to talk about what I do on those days where my brain is just not working, but I still want to try to accomplish something. And I actually do think it's important to have those days, where things aren't necessarily going well, but you still got time and you still want to do some things. That's a great time to just try things and then look back at it the next day and either go, oh, okay, yeah, that wasn't so bad, or just cringe hard. Because I think a lot of figuring out how to do anything, even if, whether it's creative or not really, just anything at all, is lots and lots of failure. And at least with creative stuff, I can say with certainty that with art, you gotta get some of your bad pictures out of your system before you can draw some good ones. Figure out what makes things not work, so that this way you can figure out what things do work. With writing, get all the bad words out of there, so that this way you know that particular idea that you had before, it didn't work out the way you wanted, so now you can try something new. Some of it truly is just grinding. Grinding and trial and error. And with enough of it, you'll get some of those some of the ideas that you don't like as much out of your head, and it won't be a question on whether or not it would work. Like, when it's just in your head, things can seem kind of nebulous. But once it's out in the world, out on paper or in a computer, it's a little bit more real. You can actually see it and evaluate it. When it's in your head, like, it's going to be perfect. It's going to be exactly what you imagine. Because you're imagining it. Go figure. But once it's real, once you've written it down or drawn it or done whatever it is that you want to do, you can see it. And it's there. And that's the first step to figuring out what works. Because as long as it's just in your head, you really shouldn't consider it real. Any planning that you do that does not result in images on a page, or words on a page, or whatever else that you might be doing, definitely do not consider it real. and do not consider the idea processed. But it's okay, because as you get all those bad drawings or bad writing or whatever else out there into the world, and you start to understand what makes it bad or what makes certain other things good, you'll start making less and less bad things, and it'll feel great. You start to develop consistency. That always feels good. So I guess that was a long, rambly tangent to just remember that everyone you look up to is just a guy. And other people can do it too. And also, just go do the thing. Do not fear the failure. Embrace the failure. It'll happen a lot. But the failure just means you're doing something. What you should fear isn't the failure, it's the stagnation. Alright, and during that little bit of a ramble, I've actually made considerable progress with my front bangs here. I think they're looking pretty good. I think I might be able to hit all the corners today. And oh man, once I finish the front bang tips, that's like... That's actually huge. They seem like such a small portion of the hair, but they are by far the most detailed place. And once I get them, everything else is just a little bit easier. See, here I really like to get these really, really exact, because they're right between the eyes. So it's... if something seems off, it's more likely to be noticed there. Just right in the middle of a highly focal point. So I don't like to mess around. And everything else gets a little bit more straightforward after, I think. So even if it seems like just such a tiny area, the density of information here and the relative importance of that information makes it take a little bit longer than a lot of other parts. So finishing this is actually huge. Alright. Yeah, now I think I got that little highlight looking good. This highlight running right up here. And that kind of defines the outer bounds of this center clump. So I think that center clump is looking pretty good, and at least on this angle. Over here is pretty okay too. I've got a couple of spots I want to fix. You know, I swear, every time I look at something and I say that it looks pretty okay, the moment those words leave my mouth, I always see something. It's like a magic spell at this point. I can stare at it for a little bit, but the minute I say that, oh. It's like Revenge of the Eyes. Eyes are just like, I'm sure we can find a thing or two if we look hard enough. The brain agrees. So that's why I keep seeing it. Just always wish it would inform me a few minutes before I said something like that, as opposed to right after. But brains are funny like that. Alright, looking good there. Now let's get down here, and actually I kind of want to see how it looks going across too. Oh yeah, that looks really good actually. Oh phew, I was so afraid that something wasn't going to line up properly, but I wanted to kind of get my basic ideas down first. But no, this is looking quite good. Literally the only thing I see is just the very top of this line right here is too low. That is literally the only thing I saw when I was moving her head around there. Everything else looked fantastic, and that is just such a huge relief. When it comes to corners, I'm always afraid that something's just not going to line up properly, and then I'll have to do a whole bunch of shenanigans in order to get both sides to work together. But all is well here. I'm so happy. So I can work on the lower left corner in peace. No fear that something is just going to explode once I start trying to line things up with the other corners. You love to see it. Alright. So, let's come back down here. Even when I go all the way up and all the way down, I think it still looks really good. Excellent. So now I can just fix these things that I want to fix. And move on to the other corners. I am feeling determined today, so I'm going to try really hard to just do all 4 corners. At least for this area. I know that the upper right still needs a lot more work done in general, because that's the only one that I haven't like, properly finished. Or I guess refinished, as the case may be. You know, it'll be nice when I can actually turn her head back on. Get her skin tone back in here. Floating face is funny, but I do like having the head in. It's just so nice to be able to see the chin to help me line things up. But in this case, I just kind of gotta do what I gotta do in order to see the tips of her bangs a little bit more clearly. This way I can get them into the right position, and once they're there, and I just turn her head back on and I can't really see the distinction super clearly anymore, I can trust that all is well and that everything looks okay. Because I took the time to really, really look at it here. So such things are always very important. One of the things that I've been looking into doing, not necessarily for stream, just for fun, is learning how to do character voices and some voice acting stuff. Because in the past, I did do a lot of theater and whatnot in like high school and all that. When I was actually forced to do things like go outside. And I always really liked it, so I have been, I guess, interested in doing similar things again, just with reading and recording myself instead of getting up on stage. It's probably part of why I like streaming, honestly. Now that I think about it. Just getting up and performing, I think it's a good time. And another reason that I was interested in that is just because in the past I very much enjoyed role-playing. And so I feel like being able to voice act my own characters sounds pretty fun, and might also bring new life into them. And plus, if I ever play games on stream, it means that I'll be able to do nice voices for any dialogue that I read out loud. So, maybe partially for stream. But in order to practice, I've been going back and reading old role-playing posts, and I'm just like, oh man, why did we stop here? This was so good! And then I get sad. Because there were so many just really good things going on some of these little stories that I was writing with people. I don't even know where to begin describing some of them. And what are some of my favorites? Let me think about that for a second. Yeah, I guess one of my favorites was I ran this superhero role-playing site a long time ago. Oh man, it's probably been 10 years by now. Yeah. I played an extremely flashy, self-righteous supervillain named Eve. And oh man, she was so much fun. There was one particular character dynamic that I really liked, with a hero character on there, where after a lot of interactions with him and some of the other people within her villain faction, she actually kind of got bullied into taking it over and became the new leader of that villain faction. And then later, this hero, fed up with all the stuff that the hero faction was doing and how they were treating him, ended up joining her villain faction instead. It was an absolutely beautiful character dynamic. I loved them so much. A large part of me misses that site very much. There were just so many really interesting character dynamics and whatnot, and interesting stories being told that just ended up falling to the wayside. Some of it was because the authors of the other characters kind of lost interest. Some of times it was because something happened in life, and unfortunately people just never really seem to want to keep up with their hobbies when life gets hard. And I just think that's kind of a shame, especially ones that have kind of a creative element to it. I always think that's kind of a shame. think it's important to continue to do things that you like, even when life is stressful and you're not very happy. It's like, why wouldn't you want to do the things that make you happy when you're feeling sad? Even if it's a little bit of hard work and effort is hard to come by when you're feeling sad or stressed or just busy. It still seems like it's worth it to me. So, one of my personal dreams is maybe I'll find some people that are willing to roleplay even when life gets hard. We can do things long term and maybe even have a story reach its conclusion to the point where everything is just winding down and there's nothing more we want to do anymore. And everyone agrees, it's not just one person losing interest. Oh, that sounds wonderful. Maybe someday. But I gotta say, due to my preferred role-playing format, I learned a lot about writing characters and just writing in general. And I think a lot of that knowledge is really helping me out now that I want to write a comic. A lot of my writing on those sites is not very good, but it doesn't really matter. I was writing stuff. I was writing stuff and learning and figuring out what works well and what doesn't, so I got a lot of those, you know, the words that aren't very good out of me. I started figuring out what made for more interesting stories, how to control my characters better, and just all of these things, because, man, if you asked me 10 years ago and whether or not I'd be able to properly direct my characters in a role-playing setting, I probably would have said no. Because my method of writing characters is very similar to method acting. I really, really get into character. And trying to make them do anything that they didn't want to do is just, like, impossible. But I still kind of found a way to do it, because I found in the last couple of sites that I joined, I had way less boring threads than I did in the past, because I just understood, okay, here are some things that make this character interesting, and here's some things I can do to adjust the situation to make them do what I want. And so I got much better at doing that, and it worked out really well. And so that was just a thing that I was able to work out with repeated practice and also thinking about it a lot. They go together. Honestly, a lot of my hobbies were kind of like that, where I just learned a thing because it sounded fun at the time, and I ended up being able to use that skill for something else in my life. I still remember learning to code in school. I wouldn't say that I really started to understand complex code. You know, beyond the hello world, getting basic input and that kind of thing. Until I got really interested in making forum skins. Like, making forum skins is very different from coding in C#, the language that I used in school. But once I started incorporating JavaScript and whatnot, things got a little bit more complicated than HTML and CSS, and suddenly things made a little bit more sense. Just a couple of weekends derping around and trying to figure out how to do some of these things that I thought would make my skins look more interesting. And something clicked inside my brain, and I suddenly started doing better in school. It was fantastic, really. So when it comes to hobbies, I'd say as long as you're actively doing something, not just passively sitting and watching, or just passively experiencing a video game or something, that the skills will carry over. You'll find something else to do with them somewhere, I think. Your brain is in there making a nice neural network, and that information will be there, ready for you to grasp whenever you find a use for it. Because yeah, thinking about it, I was also a little bit more interested in fashion and whatnot when I was younger. Never really on me. I couldn't be bothered to go shopping or anything, but just a bunch of stuff around general aesthetics. And now I channel all of that into character design. All of it. I don't think anybody looking at me in real life would ever think that I knew anything about how clothes work. Or how designs and silhouettes work. But here I am. Brains truly do work in mysterious ways. I do think that there are people out there that can learn for learning's sakes, or for learning's sake. There are true nerds, but I think for most people, a lot of what motivates people to learn stuff is because there's something that they just want to do. And before then, it's just really abstract and hard to care. So sometimes you just gotta find a reason. Alright, I think that's this side's bangs done. Let's go over to this side. How do I want to do this? Okay, looks like the day I was tired and did a little bit more work on the hair, I actually got a lot of the low-hanging fruit out of the way, so now it's a little bit less daunting. Alright, well, I guess I'll just do it one step at a time. That last little stretch there ended up taking me a little bit longer than I expected. So, I might not fully finish the bang tips today. We'll see how tired I get. Here, my mouth is actually feeling a little bit dry, so I think I'm gonna go grab some water. I'll be right back. Alright, feeling much better now. Phew, yeah, my throat just dried out a bit there. It was feeling a bit dry today, so guess it makes sense that maybe I was getting a little bit thirstier. It's very important to take care of your voice. I would like my voice to stay with me for a long time, and well, I suppose it's especially important given that 1, I want to stream, and 2, I want to learn how to do character voices. Both of those require a nice voice. And a functional one. Would be kind of a shame to lose my voice in these circumstances. Alright, so let's see how far I can get through the rest of these bang tips. I still am determined to try to finish them today, but we'll see if that can actually happen. I'm just gonna let myself take my time and see how it all works out. And if it takes me another day to finish them up, that's totally fine. Saying it mostly to myself because otherwise my brain is going to try to rush and pretend like I have a deadline when I don't. And I don't want my brain to rush. I want to approach this at a fairly leisurely pace. I don't think I need to rush here. Yeah, it looks like I actually already have a large part of this one done. Yeah, I think I actually did this side on all 4 corners already, so that side looks mostly good. There are just a couple of things that I wanted to fix up. Not surprising given the level of detail in these angles. Alright, I think this line is looking pretty good now, so now I'm just gonna go back to adjusting the angles on the tips here again. Actually, before I do that, maybe I should get everything looking right down here too. I like just being able to go all the way up and down. Feels good. So yeah, let's do that line down here too. Just gradually work my way to the right. So this way, once one part is done, it'll be nice and easy to go work on the next part. I say as I want to immediately go fix something over here because it's just really off and it was bothering me. The upper right actually wasn't looking as bad down here, so even though there were some things that I saw that I needed to fix, it didn't just immediately make me want to go, but it's bad and I want to fix it. I want to do it right now. Yeah, and the gap between here is definitely a little bit off on this upward turn too. Or I still slightly curse myself for making the mesh so fine here. There's so many vertices. It gets a little bit overwhelming sometimes. It's alright, just gotta push them around one at a time. Alright. I actually think that area is doing pretty well down here, even. So yeah, maybe I can do this before my stomach just starts rebelling hard enough and demands a sustenance. Makes it so that I can no longer do anything until it gets what it wants. Buddies are so rude like that. I had a joke with my husband a long time ago about getting hungry, and I remember saying something along the lines of, "It's just telling you when your fuel is empty." And I think his response was something along the lines of, "More like when it's at 80%. And I have to agree. Bodies are just so needy. It's like, who refuels their car when it's at 80%? Even I, when I am a little bit more neurotic about it than average, never does it before 50%. Yet here our bodies are just wanting this much food every day. Terrible. Why do our minds have to be so closely linked to our bodies? It'd be nice to be able to think even when hungry. Or at least not to be so constantly distracted when hungry. I just had one of those moments where I was thinking about something. I swear there was something in my head, and then it just went poof. And now I can't remember what I was thinking about. Oh well, hopefully it comes back to me. For now, just doing all the slight adjustments on the tips here. Trying to get the space between the different strands right through there. Oh, looking a little bit better. But there's a lot of little pieces down there. I always look at it and just kind of scream internally. That's why nobody hears it, because it's internal and very deep. I don't think I needed quite as much control here as my past self seemed to think I did. Or perhaps seemed to think that I might. That's probably a better way to put it. It's okay. Further notes for the future. We're learning things. It's like how I said, you have to get a lot of bad art done in order to get good at art, and yeah, you need to get a lot of bad meshes made before you learn how to make really good ones. Things have indeed been learned. Oh man, would you look at that? I'm just getting closer and closer to that end. I think I actually will be able to finish the bangs here tonight. You know, barring my future self being picky and seeing some things she wants to fix. That'll probably happen too. But I think I can get it into a state that I can be happy with today. It'll just take a little bit more time here. Just get the last little bit of the tips the way that I want it to be. Alright, looking pretty good. I'm so happy. It'll be really, really nice to finish this area. There are few things in this model that just require this level of attention to detail. But I just want to make sure I get all those tiny, tiny little color changes and folds and whatnot there. The way this artist draws hair is just so pretty. And it would just be a shame if I couldn't keep it looking really pretty. Oh, it actually needed to go the other way. Oops. Okay. Let's back it up a little then. See, I thought this highlight here needed to go to the left, but it actually needs to go a little bit further to the right. I just had it backwards. That happens sometimes. Alright, one last strand. I think I've gotten everything over here the way that I wanted, at least on the upward turn. So now I just got one more little strand here. I'll have to double check the lower right again. Yeah, I think I'll do that now, while I'm working out what I want to do with that strand. I poked at it a little bit. Yeah, I actually have down here pretty close to done as well. Heck yeah, I'm gonna be able to meet my goal of getting the tips of her front bangs done. And then tomorrow I will finally be free, and I can do something else. Strictly speaking, it doesn't really matter what order I do things in, so if I ever decide I want to jump around, I can. But I kind of like doing things piece by piece. Just get one part done, and then it's just done. It's done forever. And I don't have to think about it anymore. It feels good. So, it'll be nice to have this done and just be able to move on to the next part without worry. It's very exciting. I really do enjoy working on this model. I think that's why I've been able to keep it up for, like, what, 225-ish days at this point. I think some part of me is actually going to be a little bit sad once it's finally done. But I think a much larger part of me will be happy. Not because I won't have to work on it. That's the part of me that'll be sad. That I will be finished. And so I'll be out doing something else. But rather that I'll have something that I think is pretty cool. And I will have made it, and it'll be pretty cool. That part is always very exciting. And with it, I think that my rigging skills have improved dramatically. Like, I am just seeing so many things that I wasn't before. That's why I keep wanting to go back and fix so many things. Because I learned something and I'm just like, oh yeah, you know, if I did that, this would look so much better. And then I do it. And then another week passes by. So I think it's a pretty clear to me, at least, that my skills are very much improving. And honestly, it's a really good feeling, just being able to feel the skills improvement. Feel it in your heart, and with every vertex that I move around. I can really tell. Alright, I'm moving up a little bit higher than I initially intended, but the way that this strand is feeding into the front bangs is not working for me, so I kind of want to fix it too. I mean, like, I'm only getting a little bit distracted here. It's still kind of connected. That's probably going to require some mesh consultation. I think I'll save that up there, just with the way this gradient is moving. Or transitions from purple into white. I don't quite like the way that's shaken out, so I think I'll tackle that part tomorrow once I start working on the rest of her front bank. For today, I think I'm just gonna stick with the tips. I was heading up there just because there were a couple of areas that were really bothering me, but that one's not bothering me that much. Enough to fix it, but not enough to fix it right now. It can wait until tomorrow, when I am a little bit less hungry, a little bit less tired, and all of these other things. Alright, and once I fix up just the very tip of this, I think that will be all for this little tip. And then I'll be able to just finish up the lower right and everything will be done. I think it looks pretty good. I'm just very happy with how everything about this model is coming out. It makes me so happy. Yep, let's just do that little tip down in the lower right. And then I think that'll be everything for today. I'll swing her head around, see if there's anything else I want to adjust real quick. And then I will finally indulge my stomach and let it eat. Alright, I think that's looking pretty good. Let's swing our head around a bit. Take a look around at all of the little hair tips here. Oh yeah, I think they're all moving pretty well. We'll see what the me of tomorrow thinks, but I think this is where I will stop for today. So, thank you all for coming, and I hope you're able to create something wonderful today. I'll see you all tomorrow.